We are now more tired than we've ever been. And I'm not talking about being physically tired alone. I'm talking about emotional fatigue and mental overload and easily being overwhelmed. Even people who look like they're functioning well on the outside, those who are working and showing up and smiling for us, often seem like they're carrying something heavy underneath it all. As it turns out, if you've been sensing this, you're onto something because our current data reflects this as well. Globally, people are reporting feeling increasingly stressed. We're feeling mentally overloaded, emotionally exhausted. Just take a look at the news right now and you'll understand why. Interestingly, somehow, we're still managing to laugh, show up, be a parent, achieve, and do much more. And I think many of us have become so accustomed to carrying this stress that we no longer even realize how heavy things are. And this is exactly what I want to be talking about. Today, I'm talking about why so many of us feel emotionally heavy and what we can do about it. Welcome to Fuller Living, your space for empowerment, inspiration, and practical health nuggets. Here, you'll find relatable guidance that fits your everyday life as you journey to a fuller and healthier you. I'm your host, Dr. Ashitey. Let's dig in. Welcome back to Fuller Living, wherever you're listening from, whether you're driving, working, walking, cleaning, or decompressing on a much-needed vacation. I am so glad that you're here today. I'm glad because I truly believe that this conversation is incredibly timely. Lately, I've noticed more and more people describing some version of the same feeling. I'm tired. I'll be honest, I've been there too. And people aren't necessarily collapsing or depressed. People aren't necessarily unable to function. They just feel heavy. The world feels heavy. And what makes this particularly more difficult is that many of us are still managing to function externally because life can't stop. We must go on. People are still going to work, still parenting, still responding to texts and emails and work responsibilities, still getting things done. But internally, many people are mentally saturated. Researchers and mental health organizations are increasingly documenting higher and higher levels of stress, mental overload, information overload, and even though we should be connected, loneliness is high. At the same time, we're still laughing, we're still showing up, we're still showing resilience. So this creates some kind of interesting paradox. The world hasn't necessarily lost all of its joy, but many of us are carrying life more heavily than we realize. A life that's heavier than we were really meant to carry. Now, while generations before us may have had to endure hard labor, this generation is experiencing more burnout and fatigue in a unique way. I am going to walk us through 3 reasons why we're feeling more emotionally overloaded right now and what we can actually do about it. I'm going to talk about what our modern life may be doing to our minds and our nervous systems and what we may genuinely need in this season of life. So let's get into it. Here's reason number 1. We're carrying more input than human beings were meant to process. This is very important to understand. So many people are so mentally overloaded in ways we're still underestimating. Our modern life is very loud. There's almost no true mental silence anymore. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we're immediately consuming information. Text messages, emails, news alerts, social media, world crises, political tension, work demands, group chats, you name it. It just keeps coming and coming and coming nonstop. Videos, noise. When will it stop? We almost have no quiet time anymore. And what makes this especially difficult is that our brains were never designed to process this volume of emotional input continuously. We get no breaks. Human beings were not built to wake up every morning instantly aware of every single crisis happening across the globe. But now, many of us live in a constant state of hyper awareness. We're always consuming, always processing, always reacting, rarely getting peace of mind. And over time, that takes a toll. It takes a toll on our minds, it's emotionally taxing, and it takes a toll on our physical bodies as well. Because the nervous system does not always distinguish between what's happening directly to me and, oh, I'm constantly exposed to emotional, stressful information. The body still responds in the same way. Stress hormones rise, attention becomes fragmented, mental fatigue builds, we sleep less, emotionally, we feel saturated. This is part of why so many people feel tired in a deeper way right now. We're not just sleepy, we're not just busy, we are mentally full. Like there's no more room left for us emotionally. Here's an interesting fact. While global stress remains elevated, we're still functioning remarkably well. We're still working, we're still parenting, we're still laughing, we're still showing up, which means emotional overload does not always look as dramatic on the outside, even though the effects are happening internally. Sometimes it simply feels like life has become harder to carry than it used to feel. Here's reason number 2. Many of us are functioning, but not fully recovering. And there's a difference. Functioning simply means I'm still getting things done. On the outside, no one's mad at me because the job is done. You're still showing up to work. You're still answering the emails. You're taking care of all the responsibilities. You're still performing, but recovery is different. Recovery is when the mind and body have actually had enough rest. There's regulation, there's support, and margin to repair from stress. When was the last time you actually felt this? Many people have been in survival mode for so long that they no longer recognize what true recovery should feel like. We sleep, but don't feel rested. We take time off, but we still feel mentally exhausted. When was the last time you sat down to relax and actually felt the impact of that? Now, we've talked about stress on this podcast so many times, but this type of chronic stress is something that it's important to talk about because it's subtle, but still impactful. It's not only emotional, stress affects the body physically. Sleep quality changes, stress hormones remain elevated. We've talked about all of these things. Mental fatigue accumulates. The nervous system continues to stay activated, and it has downward effects, including on your heart, your brain, your entire physical well being. Eventually, we start feeling depleted, and human beings, like I said before, were never designed to keep going without recovering. Unfortunately, our modern culture often rewards us for keeping on. We're praised for pushing through, we're praised for staying productive, praised for always being available and having no boundaries. But eventually, our bodies start to say, we can't do this anymore. And you know what that looks like? Burnout. It also looks like irritability, disconnection, anxiety, trouble focusing and concentrating, feeling emotionally flat. Recovery is what allows the mind and body to reset, regulate, repair, and regain that capacity to carry your life well again. We need to allow time for recovery. Here's reason number 3 why life feels heavier for many of us right now. So many people are carrying life in isolation. This is interesting because we live in one of the most digitally connected periods in human history. We can communicate instantly across the world. We can see each other constantly online. We stay updated on each other's lives in real time. And yet, we're so deeply alone. Think about it. You see your friends on social media, you see what they're doing, but how often do you actually talk to them? I don't mean text your friends. How often do you talk to your friends? How often do you spend good quality time with the people you love? We are so alone. We're without enough real spaces to process stress honestly. And without that deep community, without that deep emotional support, we are feeling very alone. We were never designed to carry life entirely by ourselves. Research consistently shows that social connection affects emotional and physical health more than people realize. Support helps regulate our stress, buffers that emotional overwhelm, community helps people endure difficult times. We don't need more information right now. We need more support. We need more rest, more meaningful connection, more moments where we can exhale emotionally and carry burdens together. Healing begins quietly when we stop feeling the need to carry everything alone. Here's the most important question of the day. What do we genuinely need more of right now? What we need is more restoration. We need emotional honesty, more boundaries, more moments of quiet. Cut down the noise and read. Maybe return to creating art. We need more meaningful connection, more time away from this constant simulation, more permission to be human. I'm not talking about ignoring responsibility or checking out from life. I'm talking about recognizing that well-being requires more than productivity alone. Sometimes one of the healthiest things we can do is simply be honest about what life currently feels like. Acknowledge that this season is heavy. Honestly, one of the most powerful forms of regulation is not perfection. It's feeling safe enough to slow down, safe enough to rest, safe enough to ask for support, safe enough to stop carrying everything silently. We do better when life contains rhythms of recovery and not constant output. Recovery looks like rest. Recovery looks like therapy. Recovery looks like time outside. Recovery is prayer. It's laughter. It's community. Sometimes it's simply putting the phone down long enough for your nervous system to breathe. I know that when I put my phone away, I feel so different. Try it. Whatever it looks like in this season in your life, recovery matters. So here's our SMART goal for the week. And remember, a SMART goal is one that is specific, you can measure it, it's achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This week, we will intentionally create one small moment each day where the mind and nervous system are not actively consuming input. No scrolling, no multitasking, no notifications, no constant simulation. Just one intentional moment of mental release, mental time to breathe. Maybe that's sitting outside for 10 minutes and doing nothing. Maybe it's going for a walk without your phone. Maybe driving without listening to a podcast. It's okay to shut me out sometimes. Maybe it's praying or journaling or reading or having an uninterrupted conversation with someone you care about. So it can look like this. Specific. Create one intentional moment of mental quiet each day. Measurable. You can make it 10 minutes. 5 if you really don't have time, but come on, we should have 10 minutes. Achievable. This is simple enough to realistically maintain this week. Relevant. It is relevant because the nervous system needs moments of recovery, not just constant simulation. And this is part of your goal to live a healthier and fuller life. Time-bound, we can do this in 7 days. And while you do it, I want you to pay attention to something. How does your body feel when it's finally had a moment to stop processing everything all at once? Life is feeling so heavy for so many of us right now. We talked about why that matters today. First, many of us are carrying more mental and emotional input than human beings were ever meant to process. And second, many of us are functioning externally, but we're not really allowing time for internal recovery. And third, many of us are trying to carry life alone, and we weren't meant to live that way. And what makes this all especially difficult is that emotional overload does not always look so dramatic. Sometimes it simply looks like feeling mentally full, feeling emotionally tired, disconnected from yourself, less energy, nothing major, but it compounds over time. But struggling under heavy circumstances does not make us weak. It makes us human. It's okay. Perhaps part of healing in this season is learning that well-being is not built through productivity, but through recovery, connection, and through honesty with ourselves. We gotta be honest with ourselves first before we can be with others. If this episode resonated with you, I hope it reminded you of something important. You're not failing because life is sometimes heavy. Many of us are in the same boat with you, but we don't have to do this alone. We were never designed to carry endless stress without support. We were never meant to do this without recovery. We were never meant to do this without care. I'd love to hear from you. What part of this episode resonated with you the most? And if you've been enjoying this podcast, don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, leave me your review because it genuinely helps people find us. Next week is episode number 75. Come back for more health and wellness nuggets. Until next time, let's get to fuller living. Well, fam, that wraps up another episode of Fuller Living, where we talk about health in a bite-sized, relatable, practical, and fun way. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress one small step at a time while remaining consistent. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, share it with a friend who might need a little bit of inspiration, and leave me your 5-star review. And if you're in Dallas and looking for a new PCP, look me up at southwestfamilymed.com. I can't wait to meet you. Until next time, let's get to fuller living.